She lied about the pregnancy. She lied about the miscarriage. And now Coronation Street fans have worked it all out, and they are absolutely furious. What started as a deeply uncomfortable grooming storyline has evolved into something even more shocking, because Megan Walsh, one of the soap's most calculating villains in recent memory, has just been exposed in a lie so cold, so calculated, that even seasoned Corrie viewers were left with their jaws on the floor. And the most extraordinary thing? The fans saw it coming before the show even confirmed it. Welcome back to the channel. If you have been following the Meghan and Will storyline on Coronation Street, you will know that this has been one of the most talked about, most debated and most emotionally charged plots the Cobbles has delivered in years. But in the last 24 hours, everything has shifted. The show has confirmed what fans had already theorized, and the ripple effects across social media have been extraordinary. So today we are breaking it all down. The lies, the fan theories, the latest dramatic twist, and what it could all mean for the future of this gripping storyline. If you have not watched the very latest episodes, consider this your spoiler warning because we are going all the way in. To understand just how significant this latest development is, we need to go back to where this all began. Megan Walsh arrived on the Cobbles as Will Driscoll's athletics coach, a confident, charming, and seemingly dedicated professional who quickly embedded herself into the lives of the Driscoll family. On the surface, she appeared to be nothing more than a committed mentor helping a talented young athlete reach his potential. But beneath that warm exterior, something far darker was taking shape. Megan had entered into a secret and deeply inappropriate relationship with Will, who was underage, and she was doing everything in her power to keep it hidden from the people around her. Actress Beth Nixon, who plays Megan, gave an interview early in the storyline that told viewers everything they needed to know about who this character really was. She described Megan as very calculated, someone who does everything for a reason but is incredibly skilled at concealing her true motivations. Nixon said that Megan is deeply insecure beneath the polished surface, desperate to be loved and adored, but that she masks all of that behind charm and charisma. She described her character as someone who worms her way into a family, making people like her, making people feel sorry for her. Almost like a parasite. That description alone set the tone for everything that followed. This was not going to be a straightforward villain. This was going to be someone far more unsettling than that. And so it proved. As the weeks turned into months, Megan's grip on Will tightened in ways that became increasingly difficult to watch. The pair came dangerously close to being discovered on multiple occasions. Most notably when George almost caught them sharing a kiss in the car after they had spent the night together. Each near miss seemed to push Megan further into dangerous territory, and rather than pulling back she doubled down. She manipulated Will into believing their relationship was genuine, that it was love, that she was the only person who truly understood him. Meanwhile, she used her relationship with Daniel Osborne as cover, keeping up the pretense of being a normal woman living a normal life on the street while conducting a secret affair with a teenage boy behind everyone's backs. The investigation into Megan's behavior hit obstacle after obstacle. When Sam finally spoke up about what he had discovered, Megan was arrested, but she was later released due to a lack of evidence. The forensic examination of both her phone and Will's turned up nothing incriminating. Will himself continued to defend her at every turn, refusing to confirm to his family or the police that there was anything more than an unrequited crush on his part. The Driscoll family were trapped, convinced their grandson and son had been abused, but unable to prove it in any way that would hold up in the eyes of the law. Then came the pregnancy storyline, and everything changed. Megan was discovered to be pregnant, and the question of who the father was became the most explosive issue on the entire street. She initially tried to brush it off entirely, claiming a positive pregnancy test belonged to one of her students. But Leanne and Eva pieced the truth together after finding Megan in a visibly distressed state. Leanne even accompanied Megan to what was supposed to be a termination appointment. Megan told everyone the pregnancy had been ended. But she had not gone through with it. She had kept the baby, and Will eventually found out, promising that he would step up and be there for her and the child. What followed was a masterclass in manipulation. Megan shut Will's offers of support down, explaining that once she began to show she would leave Weatherfield so that no one would be able to connect the dots and uncover the truth about their relationship. She had it all planned. She always had it all planned. Meanwhile, she refused point blank to take a DNA test that would have confirmed whether the baby was Will's or Daniel's. That refusal was the moment Daniel's eyes were finally opened. He ended their relationship immediately, and the scales began to fall from the eyes of everyone around her. The Driscoll family gathered to try to have a calm, rational discussion about the situation. About Meghan, the baby, the DNA test, and what their next steps should be. It descended into chaos almost immediately. Will jumped in to defend Meghan. Maggie lost her patience entirely. Ben tried to take a softer approach, encouraging Will towards counseling in the hope he might finally open up. But Will refused to be drawn. He was still completely in Meghan's corner, still refusing to accept what had been done to him, still believing that what they had was real. And then on the 1st of April, yes, April Fool's Day, the irony of which was not lost on a single viewer, Meghan dropped her latest bombshell. She told Will she had lost the baby. She claimed it had happened after Maggie came to her flat and attacked her. She presented herself as the victim. She wept. She placed the blame firmly on Maggie's shoulders. And Will, heartbroken, devastated, and still utterly entangled in Meghan's web, had no choice but to silently absorb the news, because showing the full extent of his grief would have raised questions he could not afford anyone to ask. But the fans were not fooled. Not for a single second. Within hours of the episode airing, Coronation Street viewers had taken over Reddit and X with one unified and overwhelming verdict. She was lying. The discussion was extraordinary in its clarity and its speed. One viewer pointed out that we had never actually seen Meghan receive the news that she had lost the baby, and that there was no way the show would have skipped over a moment that significant if it were true. Another put it simply and bluntly, Meghan is always lying and this was no different. A third made a sharp narrative observation, noting that the pregnancy was essentially the only concrete evidence of the grooming, and that the writers would be unlikely to remove that evidence without replacing it with something even bigger. And perhaps most chillingly of all, one viewer went right back to the beginning and questioned whether Meghan had ever genuinely been pregnant in the first place, suggesting that the entire pregnancy could have been fabricated as a manipulation tool to keep Will emotionally anchored to her. That last theory sparked a debate that raged for hours. It was a deeply unsettling idea. But given everything Meghan had already demonstrated herself to be capable of, it was impossible to dismiss entirely. And then Coronation Street answered the question. In the early ITVX release of Thursday's episode, the truth was confirmed. Meghan had not suffered a miscarriage. She had secretly arranged a termination and had lied to Will, to Maggie, to everyone. Her claims that the assault had caused her to lose the baby were entirely false. She had made the decision herself, told no one, and then constructed a false narrative that conveniently placed all the blame on Maggie, giving herself both an alibi and a weapon to use against the woman who had been most aggressively pursuing her. In the very same episode, DS Lisa Swain arrived at the Rovers to question Maggie after Meghan reported her for assault. Maggie did not shy away from admitting she had gone to Meghan's flat and exchanged words with her. But later, when Maggie returned to confront Meghan directly over the lies, Meghan revealed she had already dropped the assault allegation. Move and countermove. Even while carrying the weight of everything she had done, Meghan was still thinking 3 steps ahead. Still managing the situation. Still protecting herself at every turn. What is truly remarkable about all of this, beyond the extraordinary quality of the drama itself, is just how precisely the fans called it. This is a community that has been living inside this storyline for months. They have watched every episode, rewound every scene, and debated every line of dialogue. And when Meghan stood in front of Will and told him they had lost their baby, the collective instinct of thousands of viewers fired simultaneously and arrived at the same conclusion. She is lying. They were right. And that says everything about both the intelligence of the Coronation Street audience and the skill with which Beth Nixon has played this character throughout. Because Meghan has never been written as a cartoon villain. Beth Nixon herself said in interviews that the character is multidimensional, not simply evil. and that the deeper reasons behind her behavior would be revealed over time as the show peeled back the layers of her past. The show has honored that promise at every step. Meghan is frightening because she is believable. She is believable because she is human. And the audience has engaged with her on that level. Not as a monster to be feared, but as a deeply damaged person making catastrophic choices that are destroying the life of a young man who does not even understand what is being done to him. Which brings us to the question of where this all goes from here. The truth about the termination is now out, but only to the viewers and to Meghan's counselor. Will remains in the dark, grieving a loss that was never real. Maggie knows she is being lied to but cannot prove it. The police investigation continues to struggle for evidence. And hanging over everything like a storm cloud is the flash-forward that Coronation Street has already shown its audience. A murder on the night of April 23rd. The possible victims have already been identified and Meghan is one of them. The show has made clear that not everyone makes it to the end of the month. And with Meghan at the center of so many dangerously high-stakes situations, the tension around her future on the show is almost unbearable. Could Will finally discover the truth about the termination before that night arrives? Could the revelation push him, a teenager who has been groomed, manipulated and lied to for months, to a breaking point that nobody sees coming? Could Maggie, who has already demonstrated a willingness to operate outside the law, take one final fatal step? Or could someone else entirely, someone whose connection to Meghan we have not yet fully understood, be the one to bring everything to its devastating conclusion? Coronation Street producer Kate Brooks has already confirmed that this storyline is not one that wraps up quickly. It is a long game. It is built for impact. And every twist and development along the way has been carefully constructed to deepen the emotional stakes and keep the audience engaged at the highest possible level. So there you have it. Meghan Walsh claimed she had lost her baby. The fans said immediately and unanimously that she was lying. And within 24 hours the show confirmed that they were completely right. She had secretly terminated the pregnancy, blamed Maggie for a miscarriage that never happened, and continued to weave her web of deception around a heartbroken teenager who still does not know the full truth about the woman he believes he loves. It is some of the most gripping storytelling Coronation Street has delivered in years. And with a murder night just weeks away on the cobbles, the very best, or perhaps the very worst, is still yet to come. We would love to know what you think about all of this. Do you believe Will is going to find out the truth before April 23rd?